I'm Mich-Elle Myers. I'm the Assistant National Secretary of the Maritime Union of Australia and the Federal Vice President of the Australian Labor Party. I grew up in Newcastle. I'm youngest of 6 kids. My dad was a policeman, so he had a strong set of morals, and I guess that's what built my set of morals about the work that I wanted to do in the future. While I was working at State Transit, I got offered an opportunity to go and be one of the first females at Patrick's at Port Botany and be a wharfie, which was quite an adventure, which was quite terrifying, but I really wanted to do it because there were no women there, and so I started in 1999 with 2 other women, and we're the first 3 women at Patrick's at Port Botany. It was a really tough industry to break into because there's 426 blokes there that never worked with women before. Some of the men didn't want women there to work there at all. They'd like to go to work with just all their mates and not have women working there. But others really embraced the idea and supported us through it. I started working for the union as a women's officer, so my job was to recruit and retain women in the industry, making sure that the policies and procedures for employers were good for women in our industry because there were so few of them. We had to make sure the industry was attractive to women to come to, and wanted to make sure that they stayed. We campaigned for a lot of things: paternity leave, all sorts of improvements to medicals for women that go to sea, making sure that we had domestic violence leave in our enterprise agreements, because it takes money to leave a violent relationship, and most women lose their jobs because they have to go to court, they have to go to medical places and all sorts of things that they need time off for, and they need to be paid during that time off. So we got our union and our membership to come along with us and endorse that we would put enterprise agreement clauses in for domestic violence leave, paid domestic violence leave, before it was law in this country. And that's huge. That makes such a big difference, and it actually saves lives. It's so important. I've got some bracelets there from the Kiwi sisters. They mean be brave, be strong, be steadfast, which is a lovely gift from my Kiwi maritime sisters. I have a bracelet there that is part of a campaign by President Zelensky in the Ukraine, and it was to raise money for the war efforts there. And it is made from the steel of the first building that Russia bombed in the Ukraine, and that was given to me by Oleg from the Maritime Union of Ukraine, and that is very special to me, and I wear it always. I have a whole journey on my arm. I have bracelets that were made for me during the referendum for the Yes Voice to Parliament campaign by my neighbour. This one here is when there was the big landslide win of the Labor Party this year just last year in England. I was over there for the election campaign. I have a beautiful little MUA here to stay, made by one of the construction women's daughters, Matilda, in Victoria. I've got one that was given to me by an Aboriginal man in Sydney at one of the Invasion Day rallies. I'm a big Chile fan, and I found this in Korea. I just have random stories. I've had many more over the years, and when their journey is done with me, they leave me. So they break or they fall off, or I lose them, and their journey ends with me then. This is my favourite tattoo. This is solidarity with the Aboriginal flag and the O. This is the handwriting of Thomas Mayo, who is one of our union officials and was a key campaigner during the Yes campaign. Thomas is an extraordinary human who's written like 5 books, and somebody described his books as his words are like silk. He's an extraordinary human being, and that is his handwriting. And I am absolutely honoured to have his solidarity written on my arm. My anchor here, I got on International Women's Day a few years ago. So it's actually the women's symbol and an anchor. And I think we've got, in the painting you can see, nevertheless she persisted. And it was the start of a bit of a women's movement in the US after Elizabeth Warren was reading out a letter from Martin Luther King's daughter against a senator that was being sworn in about his crimes against their people. And she was asked to be silent by the chair of the House, or whatever they call it over there. She was censured, she was kicked out of the Senate, and when he did the press conference later on, he said, I fined her, I warned her, I kicked her out of the Senate, but nevertheless she persisted. So sisters all around the world, nevertheless they persist every day, so I love that one on my arm. And I have YTG here, which we got after a women's march in Victoria. The construction women's sisters took me along to a tattoo parlour for Yeah the Girls, which was quite fun. And I have a dragonfly. Uncle Terry O'Shane, one of our Indigenous leaders of our union, said to me one day, I told him a story, like every time I'm having a bad day, a dragonfly will come and just flutter in front of my face and then take off. And he said, that's your spirit guide, sister. And I said, so that's my animal? And he said, yeah. So I got it tattooed on me by a wonderful man called Dhruv Sharma, who's a fantastic tattoo artist. And I carry my spirit animal with me everywhere. Still see them all the time.